Hello BookTube, welcome to my top 5 reads of last year. Last year I started reading again and my plan was to read 12 novels, which for some of you probably isn't that much, but I made that goal. I actually finished 18 books, and so I wanted to make like a video about all the books I read, but I thought I wanted to keep it a bit positive. I thought of doing a top 5. I read 5 books that I really enjoyed, that I gave a 4-star rating. So no 5 stars last year, but maybe this year. They're all sci-fi books, so this will be a sci-fi top 5. And I also am reading my TBR in publication date, on publication date. So all books are classics from the 50s to the 70s, so you won't find any modern recommendations here. Let's start with the first one. My number 5 is Slave of Heaven by Ursula K. Le Guin, which was published in 1971. It's about a man whose dreams become reality. His name is George R. And so he kind of becomes afraid to sleep, to dream. Because if you dream something, it really happens. Like if you dream of someone like dying or being dead in a dream, when he wakes up, that person is dead. He becomes afraid to sleep, to dream, and well, he can't really control his dreams, like we all can't. And so he ends up taking a lot of drugs, other stuff, so he doesn't need to sleep as much, or sleeps very deep. At some point he gets caught, and he ends up with this psychiatrist specialized in dreaming. Well, he decides to tell this man to tell his story and just lay it all out, because no one really believes him. Like he's the only one who understands what is happening, and he can remember how it used to be. Like if reality changes, everyone changes with it, so no one really knows any different. At first this psychiatrist is like, he thinks he's crazy, of course. But at some point he becomes convinced that really stuff is changing. Like at first, like to control his dreams, he like hypnotizes the man, and so like little things change. Like at first, like a painting changes on the wall. When he wakes up, there's a different painting, stuff like that. Yeah, this man controls his sleeps, and the changes become bigger. So for example, he like the psychiatrist creates a better life for himself, so he ends up with a bigger office and he becomes famous, and so he's kind of using it for his own gains. Well, George, the main character, doesn't really like his powers, so he have kind of like this clash of ideologies. He's like, yeah, it's not good that I have these dreams. I shouldn't have these powers. They're not right. And the psychiatrist is like, you should use them. You have them anyway. You should use them for the good of humanity. He kind of gets in control of this psychiatrist because he's afraid of his dreams, but yeah, the psychiatrist kind of starts blackmailing him, and like, no one knows, no one can help you, only I can help you. And so he kind of get a god complex, and so he started, the changes become bigger, like they want to achieve world peace and have no more hunger, and so these changes become really big. Yeah, it kind of goes from there. I don't want to spoil so much, but this book is kind of short. It's less than 200 pages, so the writer really wants to, explore this idea and go with it. Yeah, it's a really cool book. Anyway, my number 4 is 2001: A Space Odyssey by Arthur C. Clarke, which was published in 1968. It's a well-known name in the sci-fi community. The movie with the same name, which was directed by Stanley Kubrick, they both wrote this story together, but they kind of have different endings. I have not seen the movie, so I can't really say anything about it. I thought the ending was a bit disappointing. It makes a lot of sense, but I just didn't like it, but a lot of people do. This book does have a fantastic prologue. It's basically 3 parts, and the first part is about early humanity, caveman. And it's from the POV of a caveman. Discover like this alien artifact that's coming from space. and it kind of does weird things to them, and it's basically alien intervention in human evolution. So the second part is our current time, which in the book is 2001, so it's a bit late now, but and it's about humanity colonizing the moon. And once they're there, they're discovering another artifact, which they know nothing about, and it's definitely not from human origin. And so they discover that this artifact also leads to another artifact deep into our galaxy, and so they decide to go there. And so that's what the third part is about. It's about that traveling, yeah, this journey towards that artifact. There's a few people on this spaceship that's controlled by an AI. Hell 9000, another well-known character, and goes from there, and they kind of have to go there, and it goes about what they find there. A really fun book. My third, my top 3 is the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov. This was published in 1951 to 1953. This is the first book. I'm technically cheating with this one because it's a trilogy, 3 books, but you can also buy them as one book, so you kind of have to read them together to get a full picture. But yeah, it's basically the first space opera. It basically created a new subgenre. A lot of people think Dune is like the Lord of the Rings of sci-fi. I kind of disagree with that after reading Dune as well. I think this is Lord of the Rings of sci-fi, because it created this whole new subgenre. It's kind of like epic fantasy in space. This takes place like tens of thousands of years into the future, where humanity has expanded into the galaxy. It's like colonized thousands of planets. You have like this big human galactic empire. And there's like this science, it's called psychohistory. And there's this well-known psychohistorian named Harry Seldon, who is like using that to predict the future. And he like predicts the fall of this human galactic empire. And like no one really wants to believe it, but this Harry Seldon is like a huge figure, so they kind of have to do something with it. So they put him on like a planet on the far side of the galaxy called Terminus, and they use it to, Harry Seldon uses it to like create this foundation to preserve all human knowledge, because he predicts that everything is going to fall apart, and like all planets are going to become like separated from each other and like become more barbaric for like 1,000 years. And so he's afraid everything, all the knowledge is gonna get lost, and so he wants to preserve that and like make that area, that century, like those 1,000 years of like downfall and barbaric, he wants to make them as small as possible. And so he wants to rebuild, like preserve that knowledge, and so they can use it again in the future. And so like the scale in this book is very big. Yeah, they end up in this place that's on the edge of like the human galaxy, and so it's a very dangerous place. You have like these pirates and like these other factions that kind of don't want to have to do anything with the human galaxy, galactic empire. And so yeah, they're like the scientist planet, and like they have to survive there. And it's a lot more. The plans of Harry Seldon are a lot bigger, which I don't want to talk about. Yeah, and then the second book, the first book is like more like some short stories over like the first 100 years, and then in the second novel it turns into this multi-POV epic story basically. And yeah, the second book is definitely my favorite in the trilogy. It also introduces like the main villain of the series, and he kind of gets introduced in like a very unexpected way, and I really did not expect it in this kind of story. And a really fun series, and I think every space opera fan should give it a try, just to see where like the genre started. And then we have the number 2, which is Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. This was published in 1966, and this is more on the lighter sci-fi side. It's much more character focused, and it's about this man, Charlie Gordon, who has like a low IQ and yeah, not very smart, and he like undergoes this surgery to basically become smarter. And they tested this on mice, and they succeeded, and have like this mouse Algernon will like become super smart. And so they kind of want to do it on humans, and so he kind of becomes this test subject, and he basically he doesn't really understand what that surgery means, but yeah, he wants to become smarter because he doesn't have any friends, and like no one really takes him seriously. Kind of, so he undergoes that surgery and he does become smarter. And this book is like written in like a diary form, and at first, like the prose and the words are used are very simple and like really short sentences, because he can't really write. He like misspells a lot of words, and then once he becomes smarter, it goes like gradually, like the writing also changes, and the sentences get longer, and he uses more difficult words. So I think that's a really original way of telling the story. And he like becomes friends with like this mouse Algernon. Yeah, and he kind of becomes like this figure in like this scientific way, and like everyone wants to know about him, and he like starts to write journals and like scientific reports about himself. And so he kind of becomes a test subject. And then at some point, like the mouse Algernon kind of goes insane and he dies. And so Charlie becomes kind of afraid, like, is this gonna happen to him as well? And yeah, what's gonna happen to him? And it kind of goes from there and to see where it happens. And yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but it's a really, really heavy story. Very character focused and has a very heavy ending, but really good one. You should read it. And then my number one, my favorite read, and this one stood out to me because it's kind of my all the things I like about sci-fi: aliens, alien technology. It's a huge mystery and kind of like first contact. And this one is Rendezvous with Rama, another Arthur Clarke novel, published in 1973. And yeah, this is kind of my kind of sci-fi. It's about humanity discovering an object in space. It's kind of the same like 2001, but in a different way. And they quickly discovered that it's not a natural thing, so it has to be an alien thing. And so they kind of go there to discover what it is. And so they have like this spaceship that's like nearby, and they kind of ask them to like, hey, go there and find out what the hell it is. And so they have like this crew that's like not super specialized in like going in alien technology. No one is, of course, but they kind of, because they are there, they go there. And so quickly it's not about the journey there like in 2001, but it's more about they quickly make contact with the artifact, and it goes from there. This definitely has like the best character work for like a Arthur C. Clarke novel, even though he isn't known for his character work, and it's not like it's like really good, but for like his standard, it's a lot better. So I really appreciated it, because I could really see him like trying to write better characters, and like they don't have much of personality, but they kind of have like a specialty, and they kind of get like their own moment to shine in the story, which I really thought was really cool. Yeah, but they're kind of expandable, because their cause, they're like their scientific cause is like very big for humanity, and so they're kind of expandable, because they can do quite dangerous things, because their possible discoveries are much important than like their human lives, which sounds a bit weird, but it kind of makes sense. They kind of make contact, and they go inside this like huge alien craft, and you find a lot of weird stuff there. But I really like the ending to this one, that's why it's my number one as well. Like, I don't want to spoil it, but read it. And so this is my top 5. I hope to read a lot more books this year, 2025, and maybe like read a real 5-star that really stands above the others. And if you have any recommendations based on these novels, yeah, let them know. And I love to know your favorite read of last year, your top sci-fi and fantasy reads. I definitely want to read more fantasy this year. And anyway, that was my video, and I hope you have all a great year, a great day.